Welcome on in to Battlehawks Hub Postgame. My name's Luke Slabaugh. I love you, St. Louis. And this is Judy Strawder, the #1 Battlehawks fan. This Sunday, this Mother's Day, we're celebrating a 19-9 win over those pesky Memphis Showboats. Judy, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm having a wonderful Mother's Day. My family is over. We barbecued, watched some football. It was about as great of a day as you could get. The weather is perfect here in St. Louis. So, yeah, it's been one heck of a day. And then to have the Battlehawks fun on top of it, yeah, best Mother's Day ever.
Well, I speak for all of us here at Sports Hub. I appreciate your partnership. Wishing you a happy Mother's Day, as I know you are a mother of children, a very dedicated mother. So it's glad you got to celebrate your family as well, and celebrate a win. It's happy.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Luke. I really appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. So we are talking, big picture. The Battlehawks now improved to 5-2. They've won 3 games in a row. And while they were favored by about 4.5, 5 points on DraftKings to win this game, by the way, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, DraftKings, the crown is yours, least famous crispy chicken, and Hot Shots, home of STL Sports since 1990s. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. A little plug there. More on that later. But yes, they had a chance, several chances actually, to put the Showboats away in the third quarter, fourth quarter. Kept them around. And by the statistics and metric standards, Memphis played one of their better games and hung in all the time. But those big play Battlehawks, they had the game changers, they had the electric plays to ultimately come out with a 10-point win.
They really did. And, when you look at the statistics side by side, they were nearly mirrored for everything, but we just edged them out and played a little bit better. I feel really bad for Dresser Wynn's mom because she was there at the game and they kept talking about it. And I was like, I'm just so happy for her, but the Battlehawks are going to do it for all the moms here in St. Louis. And they did. But, shout out to Dresser Wynn's mom because they talked about her a lot on the broadcast.
Really good interview there in game, and his grandmother as well was sitting there in the stands, product out of UT Martin, Dresser Wynn. Although they kind of did it to themselves with multiple intentional grounding penalties, particularly on that final drive. They were facing a 4th and 36 there at the end. And there was, at that point, they had backed themselves into a corner that any comeback attempt was going to fall short. That is a testament to a very stingy Battlehawks defense today that made plays when they needed to, made a couple of 4th and 1 stops early on. So sorry, but not sorry, as the Showboats fall to 1-6, but the Battlehawks again showed their tenacity and big play potential.
Yeah, and they talked about on the broadcast too how Coach Beck just, said all week, this is where we're going to show if we're going to put a stop and really make that playoff run. And apparently, that was something he just kind of preached to the players all week long. I will say that some of the sideline with their coach, I believe his name is Jim Turner. I know he's still he's their interim coach, but he definitely he's not very familiar with the game. I'm just going to put it that way. And so when you have somebody that kind of doesn't know what's going on, it's really hard then to lead a team to win. So they, and I know that we talked about this the other day where there's just a lot of moving parts in the UFL, people going here, there, everywhere, and a lot of changes every week. They definitely need to get some solid footing underneath them if they want to actually be contenders.
Yeah, the phrase and kind of the meme that popped into my head when I was watching Memphis play, particularly on the offensive side of the ball, is there was a meme a couple of years ago when Russell Westbrook was with the Houston Rockets and they were going through an ineffective stretch, and he was quoted as saying, "I'm just running around out there right now." And it's kind of felt that way in terms of the direction and the strategy. They do have talented players. That Jonathan Adams receiver who stands out about 6'3", had a couple of good catches. Ty Loxley, whose dad coaches over at Maryland, had some really good catches, including a one-handed grab. And Deneric Prince, who I knew at Tulsa, was running, pretty angry. But again, like they had mentioned that their offensive coordinator, Noah Mazzone, was still learning the players' names, and they were trying to turn around things internally and install a new scheme mid-season. So while you're building the ship to Athens as you're sailing, there are going to be some cracks in the foundation. And I think that's just really what it came down to for them. But on the plus side for St. Louis, I mean, we saw some really good linebacker play from Feeney, defensive line, Kyler, who had not I didn't know a whole lot about him, and Isaiah Mack as well. But Kyler Baugh out of Southeast Oklahoma, kind of near the Fort Smith, Arkansas area, kind of an unknown going into this year, but with some really good fumble recovery and just good play up there up front.
Yeah, Travis Feeney, man, that guy is just what's up, and I know that we've got some other great players, but and Peta for sure, because he had that sack, early on in the first quarter that to me kind of helped set the tone for the whole game. It was really cool because Cole Kublik was even on the sidelines like, well, how do you play this? Like, how do you do that? And he was going through the whole thing and kind of actually giving away his secrets a little bit. I was a little surprised by that, but he did. He just, but at the end, it was even adorable because he said Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. So just really cool. Those are just the little things that our team does that I just think that they're outstanding and phenomenal.
Got some high integrity men on this Battlehawks team. And again, a reminder to our audience, happy Mother's Day. Be sure if you haven't sent flowers, spend some quality time, take her out to dinner, just appreciate and love her if you still are able to, and never cherish or never take a moment for granted. Cherish every moment for sure. We got Keith Adams chiming in here. He says, Happy Mother's Day to Judy.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, my boys came over and they're spending some QT time with me. And it's just, it's adorable. I love it.
There's nothing better than quality time. I'll say a player that I was really happy to see break out today on offense, that 13-yard pass to Ja'Cour Pearson from Max Dugen. And I was thinking in the back of my head, Michael Kleener was pounding the table a couple of weeks ago when Arlington came into town, just how proud he would be to see him get involved in there as one of the faster, if not a little bit smaller sized players on this receiving core. I was very happy to see that, and ultimately made the difference, making that a 16-6 game at the time before half. So really happy to see that. Also, as we talk about Kleener and what we talked about a few weeks ago was the 1-point conversion, the extra point. They set up an I formation there for a 1-point conversion on their first touchdown, and Jarvien Howard was able to punch it in. And to be honest, I thought Sailors made it in on that second 1-point conversion, but it's inconsequential now. But
again,
at least,
why will we not go for more? Why will we not go for more? I put that in my notes for today to talk about that. I just don't understand why we won't go for more. It makes me feel like that we, one, don't have a good game plan, and two, we obviously don't believe we can do anything more than that. And that I made specifically in my notes for that for today that I just don't understand why we won't do more.
You're talking specifically on extra points?
Yeah.
I wonder if a part of it is Phil McGeegan and Anthony Beck's hesitance towards Max Duggan throwing the ball in short yardage situations when it's specifically do or die. Again, they had a lead for the entire game, so they didn't really have to bite their fingernails about this, but they had a pretty balanced approach. They threw the ball 23 times and they ran it 25 times. Duggan, again, being the most effective rusher. But I don't know. I mean, they got kind of burned against Arlington a couple weeks ago when they were down at Choctaw Stadium, where they did throw it at the goal line and it got brought back 100 yards. So maybe they're still fine-tuning that part of their game plan. I don't know if they expected to have this situation on their hands, but that's a really good point, Judy. I mean, one of these days, whether it's against DC or it's, some other high leverage situation, they're going to have to throw the ball accurately in a short yardage situation and not just worry about the long ball, which they have done pretty well under Max Duggan.
And they really have, and he definitely still needs to work on his accuracy a little bit more. We had a couple of close calls where thankfully Memphis, dropped the ball on the, interception, opportunities. But I still think he's got it and he's going to do a great job, but we definitely have to stop kind of holding our breath every time that he throws the ball, that we have that potential for an interception. That after that one almost interception, I was holding my breath quite a bit. Even the commentators, said, he's still struggling throwing the ball, but running the ball. And the guy does. He finds all sorts of in the pocket. Yeah, he's a smart player. I will give him that. He is a very smart player. The intuition is there, very intuitive, but he just has to get more accurate when he's throwing the ball.
Definitely got that grit and tenacity we want out of a St. Louis Battlehawks quarterback. Before we continue, want to give a shout out again to Hot Shots, the home of STL Sports. Since 1990, best place for fans. Find yours at hotshotsnet.com. Also want to give a shout out to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. They are a big sponsor on the show. With the new Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken Battlehawks box, you can score up to 30% off Battlehawks tickets, plus get 4 of their famous breast strips and a side of potato wedges for just $8.99. Only at Lee's Famous for Chicken. Sports Hub STL also presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code STL Sports. That's all one word, STL Sports. For new customers, you can play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Super duper excited again to talk about Rodrigo Blankenship, who's now 16 for 16 on field goals. His second one today from 44 yards out and the first one from 53.
53. Yep. Yeah. He is too good to be true. He's almost like a dream. And all they kept saying, is NFL, 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 NFL. It's crazy. He's a dream. That's going to be my new nickname for him. They may say respect the specs, but he's just a dream to me.
Yeah, and he may end up, NFL needs more kickers and it needs fewer quarterbacks. And I feel, Baltimore, for example, in the market for a kicker, there you go. And I will say, I think there are too many quarterbacks in this league now that I think about it. It's good that you have this depth, but you've seen Memphis try to pass the baton to 3 or 4 different guys this year. And luckily, St. Louis has only had to settle on 2. But that was just a stray thought I had as we were coming out of break, that how lucky are we to have Max Dugen, who's been such a good dual threat guy, and the grit and tenacity that you had mentioned right before the break.
And even talking about the fact that just even preseason that we had Wilkins, Dugen and Cordero. Those are 3 really solid choices that we had just sitting there to pick. And that is incredible. And then to think, okay, Wilkins goes down and we can, count on Brandon Silvers, just real quick, a good signing. So the QB depth is huge in the UFL league. That's a good
Brandon
point.
Silvers' sideline interview with Cole Kubelik might have been my favorite today, because he was just not having it. But he was so locked in and focused. It seems like a good guy for sure, but was just keeping it so close to the vest and just feel hey, what was the play call? Yeah, I didn't hear it. Sorry. And it just kept going on and on and on. That's the type of attitude I'm here for. And just as a journalist, you kind of want to not pry, but your job is to get information and hopefully packaged in an entertaining and informative way. And so just to have, 2 egos and, former football player and Cole Kubelik going toe to toe, I found that to be exciting and enthralling.
Yeah. You got PETA who's given, all of his secrets up, and then you got Silvers is yeah, no, I'm good. We got CIA material over here.
And going back to kind of what we mentioned in the preview episode this week, is that Memphis has been able to move the ball and play effective but no real like game-changing talent. Today they only got their second interception all year. Whereas the way that St. Louis's roster is constructed, there are mismatches and there are just bursts of talented guys at specific positions, whether it's Hakeem Butler or Rodrigo, the wheels you got on Dugen, and of course, all the defensive guys that we mentioned. We're missing Austin Falu right now, but he kind of broke out this year. Pita and Feeney and Mike Rose, like these guys play at a level and have this explosive play quality in them. Even Chris Payton-Jones, who didn't fly off the stat page today, but still just the way that they've been able to intimidate some of their opponents this year, it bodes well for the final 3 weeks of this regular season.
Yeah, you bringing up that exact idea is the fact how we are going to win at the end. That we have those explosive players, those key players, the ones that they just play at a higher level, and that is going to be how we win a championship versus being 1-6.
I got my fingers crossed and everything. I got Judy, because that is the goal, to be celebrating a championship on our home turf come June.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We're going to be there.
I would lose my mind. I would absolutely lose my mind.
Well, we got 3 more weeks in the regular season to lose our minds. And next
you think I'm excited now, Luke? You think I'm an excitable person now? You wait till we win a championship. Holy cow. It'll all be over.
Notoriously low energy Judy Strawder on the broadcast today on Battlehawks Hub Postgame. I'm just kidding. We've got a quick turnaround, noon kickoff on Saturday against the defending champion Birmingham Stallions. What's the game plan, Judy? What you going to do?
Well, there's about 1.5 million things happening in St. Louis on Saturday, including the Battlehawks game. Point Fest is also happening on Saturday, where 311 and the Urge are, to me, my favorite headliners of the show. Tim Convey and Ludo will also be there as well. So the plan is for me to have the most exhausting day ever and get out there and start tailgating at 9 a.m., watch the Battlehawks game, and then head over to Riverport and catch the rest of Point Fest. So, yeah, I got to get a good night's sleep on Friday.
I was going to say, are we going to see you like in the Uber again on the postgame show?
Yes. I'll be heading to Riverport.
That's incredible. I think that's something that kind of bonds maybe like 3 or 4 generations now. Like 311's been around since like the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong on this?
No, not at all. No. And 311 is actually a huge reason why the Urge got big. They brought them in as openers, and, Nick Hexum even jumped right in, put some vocals on there. But yeah, 311 is a big reason how the Urge, got big, because they believed in them.
Nick Hexum, is he still dating Nicole Scherzinger?
I don't know. See,
I haven't.
The celebrity stuff, I'm not always up on. If you ask me what's happening around town, these things I know.
I'm going to cut the conversation off right there. Final thoughts as we ignore the St. Louis romance drama and look forward to the 5-2 Battlehawks.
But St. Louis romance drama, like, it's not really drama, but Tim Convey's brother dates Nikki Glaser, and they've been dating now for a long time.
Notoriously high-profile relationship. Love Nikki
and
Glaser.
They both still chill in St. Louis and love their life here, and that one's still going strong.
Yes, it is. So moving forward, as we talk about football on this football show, final thoughts as we look ahead to next Saturday noon kickoff against the Birmingham Stallions.
I love that we are gonna get Harrison Mavis in the house. We're gonna get the thicker kicker in the house.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So, it'll be cool to, have that Mizzou presence on the field, for as much as Rodrigo is just killing it and nailing it. I do have a special place in my heart for him. The Stallions, to me, are kind of always our, biggest competition, seeing as they're 3 years of, the top championship and things like that. Like, to me, they're the ones that, we really have to beat and know that we can beat. Last year when we played them in McCarran, that was a hard loss. That one was really tough. So excited to see what we come in and do with just a different mindset, obviously different QB. But I think that's going to be a really, really, really good game. So very excited for that.
I do love that about this league is that you get to play everybody. And Harrison Mevis, you mentioned, as I am a Mizzou alum and kind of, I don't know how to put this, estranged. I don't know, like the Mizzou football, basketball thing is very like hot and cold to me. I do remember his walk-off field goal against Kansas State, which at the time was an SEC record at 63 yards. It still might be, but that was insane. But
totally,
man. And while we're talking about Mizzou, my memory is very limited in that anything that happened around the time before or after Army, Navy, or bowl season, I have no memory of. I do remember Mizzou winning 10 games and they were ranked. I remember that. But it was the Music City Bowl at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, not the Liberty Bowl. Because Liberty is usually in terms of like the prestige and the tier of the bowl games, it's like you finished third in the Big 12 and you're a group of 5 team, whereas Music City usually plays to the SEC crowd. So they beat Iowa in the Music City Bowl.
They did.
And that sounds reasonable, but this all, I've been doing this for too long. It all kind of just jumbles in my head because I've covered a lot of teams that played Iowa, and it's like, I don't know at this point. So It's not for the apathy of Mizzou. It's just there's so much rattling around in here right now, including this 19-9 win over the Memphis Showboats. Judy Strawder, we wrap things up. Any last words?
Well, except for the illustrious caw.
See you next week.
Bye.